Mark Twain's classic novel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, has been called the great American novel. Even now, when works about the Old South are generally frowned upon, it remains one of the greatest contributions to American fiction. Countless filmmakers have been inspired to try to translate Twain's saga of Southern boyhood to the screen, resulting in a plethora of film adaptations, each taking a slightly different slant on the tale. As is often the case with literary works, there has yet to be an entirely accurate cinematic interpretation, and I'm sure many would argue that such a feat is impossible. However, each time it was brought to the screen, a unique aspect or facet of the story was highlighted in a different way. Many talented young actors have lent their talents to embodying the lovable young rascal, resulting in not one but a dozen different Hucks. As a great lover of this story, I have made something of a study of the various screen adaptations and have set out to compare them here. Honestly, there have been too many versions, between films, TV movies, and TV series, to list them all, but here are what I consider the top versions. Huckleberry Finn, 1920. First up is the 1920 silent film, Huckleberry Finn, starring Louis Sargent, George Reed, and Gordon Griffith. While only 84 minutes long, this early adaptation is one of the truest to the book. Naturally, many details are skipped, but nearly all the key plot points are included, except for Huck's stay with the feuding Grangerfords. I've found that nearly every adaptation leaves out at least one sequence from the book. This one, like several others, was very close to translating the story in its entirety, then fell short by one subplot. However, no additional storylines were added. The film features a unique, charming prologue and epilogue in which Huck visits an ailing Mark Twain and gives him the material for a new book about him. Aside from this, it also depicts more of a romance between Huck and Mary Jane Wilkes. Rather than refusing to be civilized and running away at the end, Huck wants to be adopted by Tom Sawyer's aunt and become an educated young man, so he can one day marry Mary Jane. Huckleberry Finn, 1931. Next is 1931's Huckleberry Finn, a sequel to the film, Tom Sawyer, from the previous year, starring Jackie Coogan, Junior Durkin, Mitzi Green, and Clarence Muse. This film is not much like the novel at all. It focuses more on Tom Sawyer, as well as featuring the character Becky Thatcher from the previous book and film. This is doubtless because Tom Sawyer's actor, Jackie Coogan, was the more famous of the two lead boys. Rather than the usual tale of a boy helping a runaway slave get to freedom, this is a light-hearted jaunt in which two boys, watched over by their slave friend, Jim, take a trip down the river, find out that girls are alright, and decide to go home and be civilized. It plays up the romance between Mary Jane and Huck, similarly to its silent predecessor.